Yeah.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to the first District 73 monthly virtual town hall, and thank you for joining us today. We will be having two of our district and region leaders speak to you today, which will be followed by a question and answer forum where you can ask your questions to the leaders. Please put your questions in the chat section and our town hall moderators will read them out to our leaders at the end of this session. Please write to whom your question is addressed to in your chat question. And with this, I would like to invite our first leader speaker this afternoon, our very own District Director, Travers.
Thanks, Namrita. Hi, everybody. Welcome. And I hope that this will be a useful afternoon for you and you'll get something out of what we're sharing today. I thought I'd talk about two things today. The first one is about, I guess, your why you've joined the organisation and what you are in it for now. And the other thing is leadership. So they're the two subjects that I'll be speaking about. The first thing I'd like to do is ask a couple of questions, and they're not new questions. You've heard them before. People have asked you them before, I'm sure, at plenty of things. And the first one is, why did you join Toastmasters? What took you to a Toastmasters club? And if you could just put some comments in the chat. Any other comments? We've got a couple. Oh, we've got 3 now, 4. Okay, so we've got quite a few there. If you want to keep putting them in, you can. So looking at those, we've got ones like overcoming fear of speaking to people. Now that could just be speaking in front of people or even just speaking to one person, one-on-one. And I think fear is probably a big thing that brings us along to meet new people. And someone else said to be part of a group, be a better, more confident speaker, feared public speaking or speaking in public, and somebody said that how to give a speech because they had something coming up at work. That is a fairly common one. Someone enticed them to come. A colleague enticed them to come to a meeting. Someone else wanted to meet new people and have their own social circle, make friends. And somebody said here, able to convey a level of trust and be seen as an expert in what I want to convey. So, like, as is always the case, we've got a variety of reasons as to why people come along to Toastmasters. Personally, for me, it was that I just wanted to improve and become better at speaking in front of people. I'd started a new job at the council. We lived in Bowen in North Queensland at the time, and I'd started working there as secretary to the CEO. So I wanted to have more confidence when I spoke to people, and that was probably why I went along. I also had seen a picture in the paper of the contestants being presented with trophies, and I thought, oh, I'd love to do that. So that was why I went along. So we've had a variety of reasons. Now, the next question I'm going to ask is, why do you stay in Toastmasters? What is it that keeps you coming back every couple of weeks to your meeting? And yeah, and that reason is probably going to be different than the other reason as to why you joined. So if I could have some comments in the chat box, that'd be awesome. Okay, so I'll start having a look back and reading those. We've got community and connection and always learning. And isn't that the case? As a couple of other people have got fellowship. So it seems that the community's a big one, the friendships that we make. Someone's got friendship and commitment. Practice makes perfect. Keep on practicing. Someone else loves the encouraging environment, and we're learning and growing. And someone here's got, because the focus has changed from helping myself to helping others. That's an interesting response. And people see the value in Toastmasters. And someone is 72 and they want to keep their grey hair, their grey matter going strong, not their grey hair. Okay, so we've got quite a few responses then. You can see that why we joined and why we stay are generally two different things. And I guess for myself, staying was just something I never imagined that I'd still be here, but I am, and I can't see myself leaving now. I love it. You might or might not yet have achieved the goal that you started out with, but hopefully you have. And that is something that's really important, that we do have a goal. So knowing why you're still in Toastmasters is like a roadmap. It gives you direction and purpose, actually focus. It gives you focus and direction, and it's kind of like, so a roadmap shows you where to get, where you want to go, and the roadmap shows you how to get there. The questions that you've answered are not only something that are important for you to answer, and I guess occasionally it does us good to reflect on why we're in Toastmasters. What are we hoping to achieve by being there? But they're also something that the members of your club can look at and answer, and perhaps they can be given an opportunity to do that at some point, because the way that we answer those things or the way that we answer those questions will have an impact on what happens at our club, and especially at your meetings. So the really important thing is that we look at what people are hoping to achieve, and not as a club collectively, but as individuals. Our club certainly will have goals that they want to achieve as a collective group, but everybody coming to your club is an individual, and they all have individual goals. And that is the purpose of a club, so people can achieve their individual goals. And I'd like you to think about where your focus is as a club, where your focus is personally and where your focus is as a club. Of course, this year we've had COVID, and that has certainly been challenging. We can't get away from it, and I think it's mentioned a lot, the challenges that's presented. We've had to adapt, which is, I'm quite amazed at the way that people have adapted to being in this online environment. And now some of us are able to go back in person, where our club here in Tasmania is back in person, and that's nice to be back in person. But we've adapted, and we've adapted well. I'm really impressed at the way that everybody's decided to, that they still want to meet, and so they've decided to go online. I don't know how many of the clubs here are actually back back in person. Probably not too many of you here, maybe the South Australian clubs, but I'm quite impressed at the way that people have actually taken that on board, and I'd like to thank you for what you do to support the members of your club by being there. Challenges, of course, provide us with an opportunity to grow, and it's a bit like we have the oyster, and we look at the oyster, how the way that becomes the beautiful thing it is by the little bit of grit that gets in, and that's like the challenges that we face as individuals and within an organisation. It's a little bit of grit, the challenges that help us to become more, I guess, how we develop, how we grow as individuals. I encourage you to not become complacent. Don't sit back. I was looking at the Toastmasters promise. It's easy to sit back. I was at the Aero Club on Friday night, and they had their elections, and it's the same people that get elected year after year, because nobody will step forward and take on these roles. But I was looking at the Toastmasters promise, and there's four actually points that I want to bring up. The first one is to provide fellow members with helpful and constructive criticism, and that's a way that you can support others and help them to grow. To help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for members to learn and grow. So I encourage you to be positive. Even if there's difficult things happening, be positive and help and look for ways to overcome it. Don't focus on the problems, focus on the solutions. To serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so. I think that's a really important one. I'm sure that a lot of us here have served in roles, but if you haven't served in a club role, and some of you may be new to Toastmasters, I encourage you to take on a role. Like I say to people, take on the role and we will help you to be able to learn what you need to do to fulfill the role effectively. And the last one was to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy. Please treat each other with respect. I hear stories of things that go on in clubs, and I really feel sad because people need to be in that environment where they can grow. So treat each other with respect. I encourage you to do that. I'd like to now quickly move on to leadership. And I looked up leader in the dictionary, and leadership is the act of guiding or directing. Effective leaders work with their teams. They don't work on their own. We know, we've heard it, there's no I in team. You are a group of people. I'm very fortunate to have a fantastic team this year. Just amazing. I'm so impressed with them and the way that they're so supportive of everything that we do as a district leadership team. There's no growth in the comfort zone. I encourage you to look at what district roles are available. If you've served in a club role and you feel that you can step outside your club and become a district leader, please give that some consideration. It's an opportunity to serve and assist other people, and it's very rewarding. One of the most rewarding things is to see people grow, to see people achieve things. That's quite amazing. You can share and pass on your knowledge to other people. It's a ripple effect. Your influence can be felt moving out through everybody else. You work with great people and you build relationships, and you're continually learning and developing skills. So I encourage you, on the 15th of January, the call for candidate declarations will be published, and I encourage you, if you feel that you are able to commit to, I know it seems like a long way off, but it'll come round quicker than we realise. Just quickly, I'd like to make a mention of 2 clubs that have chartered, and that is Swinburne and the Devil's Advocate. And Devil's Advocate is an online club in M20. It's a Tasmanian club with that name, and a lot of work's gone into that. Congratulations to the people that have been involved in starting up those clubs. And I'd like to make a mention that Morrow's Toastmasters has reinstated, and they're waiting alignment when we do the alignment. I encourage you to be involved. Don't sit back on the sidelines. Don't sit on the fence. Get out there and pass on your knowledge and encourage those around you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you. That was insightful, fun, and interactive. Thank you for sharing it with us. I'm sure everyone's putting a loud round of applause for you right now, and I have enjoyed hearing from you. I would now like to move on and would like to invite our next speaker, our very own Region 12 Region Advisor, Kaylene Ledgar.
2020, the year of opportunities. Now, some of you might be thinking, what are you talking about, woman? We have been facing so many challenges. We've had the COVID, we've been locked down. People are sick, they're losing their jobs. Why are you looking at this as the year of opportunities? And it's because I believe that with crisis comes opportunities. And as a Toastmaster, I have seen our members around this district, around our region, and around the globe facing this challenge and taking opportunities from it. So the first area that I thought I would touch on is skill development opportunities that have come in 2020. Things that we wouldn't have thought about last year. Things like our leaders having to do crisis management and look at how are we going to support our members and our clubs through this pandemic. That's something that our leaders don't normally get to have real life experiences in, and they have this year. So while it is devastating what we've had to face, what an opportunity our leaders have had to step up and practice in real time a crisis situation. We're moving into a change management situation with our leaders now, where we do have some clubs already going back in person. We have clubs looking at hybrid or online with in-person meetings as well. And with this, when I think of change management, there is so many opportunities because we have been put in a unique situation where we don't have to go back to 2019 and before Toastmasters and the way our clubs were and the way we operated and the way we interacted. We're now in a position where we can think differently and create new opportunities. And that's an exciting time to be in leadership in this organization. And then I think about skill development from a communication and speaker side. I know when I sat down late last year and mapped out what I was going to do in 2020, I was focusing on having in-person workshops and really stretching my skills as a speaker and a trainer in that platform. I never expected that I would have a relationship with the green dot on my computer. I never expected that I would be doing training and presentations around our region online. These are skills that I wouldn't have had if we weren't thrown into this situation this year. And I see it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to stretch my skills, to stretch my build business outside of Toastmasters. And that's why we're in Toastmasters, to develop ourselves here and our skills here, to translate them outside. Being able to run online meetings, we do a fabulous job in Toastmasters compared to a number of other organizations that I'm in. And that is because our members have embraced this opportunity to stretch their skills and push themselves, whether it's as a leader or as a speaker and communicator. When I think further into the opportunities of 2020, I can't get past the online meetings that we've had and our clubs embracing those meetings. We now have Zoom Masters. Who would have thought that would have been part of our regular terminology within a Toastmaster club? Club meetings around the world have very different opportunities that they've brought into their meetings because we're online. I know of one club over in Africa that after the speakers have had a speech, done their speeches and they've had all the speakers, they then move the evaluators into a breakout room and they have a discussion and work out how best can they provide feedback to the members. That's something that wouldn't necessarily have happened if we weren't online. I've heard of clubs doing debates where they put people in breakout rooms to be able to prepare for their debate and then come and have a debate meeting. But the one I love is that clubs are incorporating mentor breakout rooms within their meetings, either before, in the break, or afterwards. So our clubs are getting creative. I don't know about you, but I love seeing these theme meetings online with people with hats and funny hair and different things like that, but also the use of virtual backgrounds as part of our speeches. Watching people do their presentation as their background is changing in time with their presentation. I'm part of an external speaking group, and that is something that they had said was the future of speaking, where you've got movement happening behind you. And our members are doing that. You know, we don't need to step out of Toastmasters to get these fabulous opportunities. When I think about table topics, I love that we can now use images and videos and really test our members on how to stretch their skills, but bring creativity into our meetings. And these are opportunities we wouldn't have had if it wasn't this year, And one of the greatest opportunities, I think, for all of our Toastmasters in 2020 has been the ability to step beyond your club. It is easier, more than ever, for you to visit another Toastmasters club. You don't need to be located in that same area. In District 73, you're across 3 states, and that can make it challenging for you to meet and connect with members across your district. But not this year, because you have the opportunity to visit club meetings. You have the opportunity to attend events at club and division and area level outside of your safe comfort zone in your own club. And if we take it a step further, you can go beyond your own borders. You can visit the other districts in Region 12, in New Zealand, across Australia, in Indonesia, Brunei, and East Malaysia, and Papua New Guinea. You can step out of your comfort of Victoria, Tasmania, and South Australia. But you can even go further. You can go to the global community. Yesterday morning, I was in District 10, which is Northeast Ohio, for a distinguished Toastmaster bash to celebrate a fellow region advisor and friend achieving her distinguished Toastmaster. I wouldn't have had that opportunity to go and meet these people, but also to see how they do things differently. So 2020 has really been an opportunity for you to make what you want from it, for you to take what you want from this year. So that's my question. We have 90 days, or roughly 90 days, 3 months until the end of 2020. What can you do to make 2020 the best year so far? What can you do to embrace every opportunity that is there for you this year? And how can you stretch yourself so that when you look back on 2020, you can say, this was the year of opportunities, and we forget about the COVID. Back to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you so much, Kaylene. Thank you. That was fabulous. Thank you for reminding us how we are growing immensely while being part of Toastmasters International. And thank you for being here with us today at our district town hall. And it is so much appreciated. We would now like to open the town hall for question and answer forum from our fellow District 73 Toastmasters. And I would hand it over to our other moderator, Danielle, for reading out the questions from the audience.
Thank you so much, Namrita. So thank you so much, both Vicki and Kaylene. You've provided a lot of gems of knowledge that we can take away. And we have a few questions in the chat, and hopefully other people will post some more questions. If you don't want to put your question in the chat and you'd like to ask a question, please just let me know and I'll unmute you if we have time. So the first question we have is actually for Vicki. So Vicki, I'll ask if you can turn your camera on and your speak. And the first question is, what is one thing you've learned in 2020 that you may not have experienced in any other year, specifically in your role as district director?
I saw that question come up, and I think probably there was two things that came to my mind, so I will put them in together. The first one was to adapt. You can't, everything's different. It was to adapt and accept. And I think acceptance is a big thing in life, because when something doesn't go our way, then if we just accept that that's how it is, it can make it a lot less stressful for us. This year's been so different. We didn't go away to the international convention. We won't have mid-year training. Well, we will have it, but it'll be online. So I think adapting to the situation as it is now, that we have to meet online. All our meetings are online. All our district leadership meetings are online. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Those two things are the biggest things I've learned this year.
Thank you, Vicki. Our next question is for Kaylene, which is, when does one know if they're ready to apply for the position of RA? And I'll add to that, because one of the things that Vicki said before was step up to a role and someone will help you and facilitate your learning. And it's like, but how do you know if you're ready to step into a role at all?
Fabulous question, because I think it's about you have a passion for what the role is that you're looking for. I love coaching and mentoring, and being a region advisor is primarily about that. There is so many other elements to the role, but that is the key. It's being a coach and a mentor supporting the district leaders. So when I looked at that role, it was something that I was passionate about, something that I'm keen to continue to stretch and develop my skills in. And that was what sparked the interest in it. So you need to really have something in it that you want to achieve and get out of it. I know people say we're in this organisation to give back to everyone else and to help everyone else, but you are paying your money and you're investing in your self-development here in Toastmasters, and it is totally okay to have something in it for you. So what is it from that role that you're thinking about that you could personally get out of it? When you know that, then it's a matter of having a look at a bit of a self-assessment or a SWOT analysis. Where are you at now? and what do you need to do. One thing I'm looking at doing for the Region 12 to support people that are interested in not just region or international director, region advisor or international director positions, but people that are looking at maybe district leadership but are not sure if they're wanting that yet. We're looking at putting together a region support team to give people the opportunity to connect with some leaders and to get some insight about these roles before they potentially put their hands up for them.
Fabulous. Thank you, Kaylene. I love the idea of doing a SWOT analysis once you take on a role so that you can work out what your strengths and your weaknesses and what opportunities and threats it opens for you. This isn't a question, but somebody has said after attending 3 meetings that they became the president of their club. What words of wisdom would you have for somebody in this situation? So I'll start with Kaylene and then we'll go to Vicki. We'll get both of you to respond to that.
I would say definitely find yourself a mentor immediately. That would be number 1. Number 2, sit down and read the club leadership manual. It is a lot of words, but it truly will give you that overall picture of what your role is in being a club president. It is okay coming in and really quickly getting into the club leadership role. I know my brother has only been in Toastmasters, I think 3-4 months, and he's already president of his club. And it is possible. Know what you need to do and have support. So get yourself a mentor, reach out to your area director, who is your mentor for you and your club executive as well, and ask questions, lots of questions, and get the support you need. You'll be fine. You will be fine.
Thank you. Vicki?
I pretty much agree with Kaylene. You've got to be sure that if you step in after 3 meetings that you are ready to be in the role, and that's where we talked a little bit about that before. Make sure that you've got the skills, because I have seen it go badly when someone took on the role fairly quickly. But with the right support, there's nothing that says you can't do it after that amount of time, but you need to have the right support to do it. It's no good just throwing someone out and go, off you go. We need to show them how to do the role.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Really interesting idea. I don't think we realize how collaborative Toastmasters is until we actually stop and think. And it's the same thing in terms of taking on these roles. I was saying, if you just think about how many people are involved in you giving one speech. You've got the Toastmaster of the day who introduces you. You've got your evaluator. But your audience, because otherwise you might as well be speaking in your bedroom on your own if you don't have that audience and that feed. A speech is a form of communication that you're trying to get a message across, and you know if you're doing that when you've got an audience in front of you. And so I love the idea of getting a mentor, but also working together and connecting all the bits. Our next question is, how is being in a club leadership role different from a district leadership role? So we'll start with Vicki this time.
Ooh, that's a really good question. How is it different? Well, it's quite different in some respects. You obviously have the actual leadership aspects of it. You're leading people, but I feel like, when you think about it, if you're a leader in a club, it's very hands-on. You're there, not that district leadership isn't hands-on. It's actually a different type of leadership. It's a much different type of leadership. It's like having, I guess, I hope I get this right. It's like having people working in a company, and there's a manager of the people on say a production line, and they're down there working with them, but then you have the managers that are higher up and they're not so involved in the day-to-day running. We're dealing more with the people that are leading the clubs. So if that's Well, that's how I see it anyway. Thanks.
Thanks, Vicki. Kaylene, how would you?
Yeah, with what Vicki was saying then, I'm nodding away because leadership is leadership, whichever team you're working with. So you still need to draw on all your leadership skills that you have, how to motivate, how to conflict, manage conflict, how to plan and set goals and keep everybody on track and manage the finances. You need to do all of that and have an awareness as a leader. But I think when we step into district leadership, that's when we really start to work with leaders. And when I look at leadership in district, it really is about mentoring and motivating and supporting our leaders and helping them grow. So it shifts in club. I'm focused on what can we do for the members and how we can set things up so we have a quality club, and all about focusing on the club. But when I go to area and division and above, it's really switching to how can I develop these leaders more? And that becomes the primary focus of developing them so they can then do their role.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Having talked about district roles, I have a different question. Is there a clear advantage to move up leadership roles from club to area to, or in terms of, and actually this fits in with what I was going to say just before, which is we keep talking about district roles. What are the district roles and what are the differences? Because I have to say, when I first joined Toastmasters, obviously you have no idea what happens beyond your club. And then you discover that there's things called area directors and then potentially other things. So could you just give us a brief rundown on what are district roles?
Sure. So district roles are obviously outside of the club, and they start with area director. So if we move up to district director, we've got the area directors. They're over the clubs, they visit the clubs, they go out to the clubs, or in this case at the moment, they go online to the club and do a visit, and then they fill out a report which they submit online to Toastmasters International. We get a copy of it as district leaders, and we can see how healthy the club is, how well they're doing, or if there's serious issues, then we can help them. Then we have division directors whose responsibility is over those area directors, and they check in with them and make sure that everything's going okay. The area directors and division directors are a link to district, and then you come to the district leadership team, which is the district director, myself, Karl as the program quality director, and Namrita as the club growth director. Then you have the public relations manager, you have the administration manager, which Danielle is, then you have the finance manager, which is Christine Dimitros. Have I got all that? An immediate past district director, mustn't forget that person, which is Sue. Who is Sue? Because Sue is the one who supports me, I guess, or all of us actually, as she's been in that role before. So I believe there is an advantage. In fact, I advised one of the people who became an area director this year. I actually felt that them being an area director gives you a greater understanding of that role, so that when you move on to division director next year, hopefully this person will, and you know what that person has to do. You've got a working knowledge of that role. So I think it's actually good to get experience in a lot of areas. You don't have to necessarily do admin manager and finance manager and those roles, but I think moving from club, you need a bit of management experience in the club, then moving on to area, then division.
Thanks. Kaylene, anything to add to that, or do you think Vicki's covered it? All right, our next question is a live question and comes from Karl. So Karl, if you want to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Danielle. I much prefer to do it vocally rather than writing if possible, because we are in Toastmasters. And this is a question for you, Kaylene, in your role as region advisor. Now, you as region advisor, get to see a lot what's happening in the world. You have your ear to the ground. Within our region, we have 8 districts going right up to Papua New Guinea. You also will have your ear to the ground globally around what's happening at other regions and other districts around the world. And I know people perhaps here can be very much around their own club, what's happening in their own club and what's happening perhaps in Victoria. And we've lost members, it's very hard because we're online, etc., etc. So at some days it can seem quite dismal at the moment compared to how it has been in the past in Toastmasters. My question to you is, how is the district going then compared to other districts and what you're seeing around the world? Are we sort of average? Are others doing better? How are we traveling as a district here in South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania?
Thank you for that question. And you remind me of my nephew who did he's 7 and he videoed me and he said, "Who's your favourite child?" That is exactly what this question reminds me of. So look, when I look at District 73, let's have a look at where you are within the region. You are the only district that is at the point of already having 2 new clubs. So obviously we don't know what's going to come with clubs that haven't renewed, but you are ahead of the game in relation to building new clubs. You're the first district in our region that has created an online club linked to the district. Nobody else has created that, and that's with a devil's advocate. In relation to membership, you are on par with other districts in our region. I think when I looked at the figures early this morning, I think you were 86% of membership renewals in compared to, and I think there was only one district above that with 89%. So you are doing everything that you can, you're meeting the requirements around that you need to for the district. But what I think is unique about District 73 is you are across 3 states and you're in different, just within your state, you're at different levels of managing with this COVID environment as well. So you are in a really good place because you've got Tasmania that is going back to meeting in person and some of South Australia. And what that means for Victoria is you'll be able to learn from what they go through to be able to adapt that for you. Corporate clubs is a global issue. People don't want to, can't meet at work. Organisations are not wanting to focus on Toastmasters at the moment. Corporate clubs is normally an opportunity for us to build clubs. Maybe it will be later on in the year, but right now it's still a bit difficult, not just here, but around the world. I think District 73 is doing fabulous.
Thank you, Kaylene. Some good news, that's great.
Thank you, Karl, and thank you, Kaylene. That ends the question and answer session. If you have any further questions, please feel free to submit them. And if they're for Kaylene, we'll ensure they're answered via email. If they're for Vicki, if we can hold them over, then we will for our next town hall meeting. I'll now hand back to Namrita. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I quickly want to try this with this forum today because I feel we are missing it a lot in this virtual environment. So let's unmute for a few seconds and applaud our way out for everyone here today. What?
Namrita, you're on mute.
I was saying that what a fabulous event, what a fabulous start it is to our monthly town hall, virtual town hall. And we would like to thank our moderators for today, which is Danielle, our district admin manager, and Heath, who did a lot of background work, who is our district webmaster and Area 40's area director. And thank you, Karl, our PQD, for your ever so helpful guidance and advice. And thank you to our lovely PR manager, Neha, for helping promote this event. A heartwarming thanks to our two lovely leader speakers. And thank you to our amazing audience of Toastmasters for taking the time to be here with us today. Each town hall will have 2 leaders every month. The next town hall is scheduled for 1st of November, that is Sunday next month. Until then, stay safe, take care, take good care of yourself, and have a beautiful rest of the Sunday. Thank you.